Electoral College Combat. This is a game about the greatest game of them all, which is the American elections, which has a lot of, gaming the system. Since we have the Electoral College, it's not just about getting the most votes, but getting the right states and just adding the numbers so that you have more points than the opponent. It is scarily reminiscent of a Euro game, truly, with a lot of bluffing. And this game, well, captures more the bluffing than the Euro game. It is, at its heart, a bluffing game. As you can see, it is a very small game. It just fits in a standard card box. The rules are very terse. This is the rules. This is all that you have, the rule book, so to speak. And from this, I was not able to learn the game, but then I found videos online that explain it more in detail. I'm also going to give you an overview here, trying to help you figure that out too. Well, we have a player rate for wild cards, but most cards are cards that represent states, and simply you have the letters indicating the states, the profile of the states, and then numbers indicating the number of votes in the electoral college that these states generate. And then we have wild cards that do special stuff. At the beginning of the game, you shuffle all the cards together. Also, the game is only for 2 players, so maybe that's a limitation, but maybe not. So, because after all, we only have 2 parties that really do stuff and really can win in the US. So 2 players, and each player gets half of the deck. So there isn't a lot of secrecy there, because you know that if you don't have a card, your opponent has it. Then players will alternate being the active player and the opponent. The active player will choose 5 cards from their hand, any 5 cards, and we'll put them down in a line of 5. And you may wanna remember what the heck you're doing there. It's also, well, very important that you plan your hand in a way that it's advantageous to you. So suppose I am the active player, then as the active player, I decide to place those cards there in a line in that order there. Then the opponent will get to choose a card and flip it face up and simply place it there. Then the active player also gets to choose a card and flip it face up. The player that revealed the highest number, that would be the active player in this case, has a choice now. That player can take the highest card that was revealed plus any one other card, or the lowest card and 2 of the face down cards, and the other player will get the rest. At its heart, this is the game. This is how it works. And so it's all about in setting up a situation in which, say, I remember more or less what I have here, and so I know which one is more advantageous to take. For example, I put all of my most valuable cards on this side, so I remember that this one is pretty good, and I take that one. Things like that. Now, the last turn, and so players simply alternate like that, taking cards and put them into their scoring pile. And at the end of the game, the player that has the most votes wins the game. California, not all cards are born equal. Some cards will only generate a couple of votes, and then you have California that generates 55, so that is the big prize. Another important thing is that at the end of the game, the last round, players will only have 3 cards left in their pile. So what do you do then? Well, then you will take the 3 cards that you still have in hand, plus the highest card in votes that you have in your pile. Suppose that it was, I don't know, a pretty good one. This pile didn't have anything really good. Suppose it's this one, plus any one other card. So the last time that each player prepares the line of 5 will be 3 left over the highest card and any one card, and then you simply play that as normal. If there's a tie between the revealed cards, there's a procedure. I'm not going to go into that. There are videos more detailed than mine to tell you about that. What is interesting, however, is the wild cards that will do different things and also give you different ways of, say, bluffing and preparing traps, such as the Russian collusion. Play 1 round of rock, paper, scissors for each card in the hand. Winner chooses a card, play continues until the cards are chosen. Which means, say there is California there, I set it up so that there's California and Russian collusions face down. You drew California, I really don't want you to get that card, then I'm gonna flip the Russian collusion, and so at least I have a chance of beating your rock, paper, scissors. Swing state, you and your opponent flip over a card. If the total of all exposed cards is even, you win all cards. If it's odd, opponent wins all cards. So for example, maybe if I'm setting up the line for the swing state, then I'm gonna put the swing state there, and all odd numbers, it's safer if you play even, so the sum is always even. Odd numbers, it works only if we drew that as no, wait a second, no, it doesn't work. So recount, each player flips over a card. Lower cards wins all cards in the hand, and so that can be weird because then you're going for the lowest one. So if you flipped the recount, then I want to go for the lower. Celebrity endorsement. Flip over all cards, you win the lowest card, the opponent wins the rest. So this is one that you really don't want to flip. Fake news, the most important of them all. Also called all that I don't like, because all that you don't like is fake news. With one card exposed, decide whether the next card will be higher, lower, or equal to it. If you're right, keep both. Play remaining cards similarly. Which means that if I'm setting up fake news, it's good to have a system. The basic system would be, say, I play all the cards in order from lowest to highest, and then I play the fake news there, so that then when you reveal it, whichever card is then revealed next, I know exactly that the ones on the right will be higher than the ones on the left. I know that nothing is the same. Maybe I could place them all the same, so I know they're all the same. Why is this interesting? Because of course, after a while, after a couple of times that we play, the meta game becomes important, and players start figuring out, fake news is revealed. So let's see if I can figure out how my opponent set up things, because you probably want to do that, or simply just remember the values, but I don't, so I always have a system which can be all the same. They are again in order, increasing order, decreasing order, different types of things are possible. So as you can see, different types of things will happen because of the wild cards, but in general, remember, the general idea remains: flip a card, then the opponent flips a card, the active player flips a card, and then based on what happens there, players will take cards into their pile. Highest total at the end of the game becomes American president and wins the game. Well, Electoral College Combat is a game that really surprised me. It's surprising what you can do with just a small deck of cards when you have, well, a good idea and it is implemented well. At the beginning, I believe it was going to be a variant of War, which is just flip a card and see who has the highest number. But then it turned out to have so many more wrinkles. Mind you, it is a light game, a game that you can play during your lunch break. It is very portable, so you can be in your pocket, and that's actually how and why I played it originally. I was traveling with my family, we went to Brazil, and I wanted some games that I could carry with me easily. So I played it mainly with my daughters, I played a little bit with my wife, and we all liked it. And it turned out to be that, well, it can be played at all levels of skills. When children are playing it, yeah, it's a little bit of a random game, and that's fine. When adults are playing it, or my 9-year-old is playing it because she is a diabolical adult trapped in the body of a 9-year-old, then it becomes a lot more sophisticated. Then it really becomes a bluffing game, and that's a bluffing / deduction, or bluffing reading through your bluffs, not exactly deduction in a strict logical sense. Although there is that element, because I know the cards that you have, and after a while the range narrows, so I can make different inferences based on that. But this is mainly a bluffing game. And also push your luck. I'm setting up a situation which is great unless you pick up that one card, which may entirely happen. I'm setting up a situation and then I still have to decide how I want to play it out. Maybe I'm setting up cards so that if you get the higher card, it's great, but even with the lower cards, I can still get something, or you picked up that one, but then I can do something else because then I trigger one of the special cards, the wild cards, which I wouldn't trigger if you were doing something else. There are just a lot of different things that you can do, and it's just surprising. And it's not just fun, of course, when you are the one setting up a situation, but also as the opponent, the one that picks first, there are still interesting choices there. Because again, suppose that I am the opponent, and now I have to choose which card I get. And so that means I don't know what the face down cards are, and maybe the lower card is fairly close to the high card. You know, if it's like 15 to 3, I'm probably gonna get the 15 and 1 of the card. But it's 15 and 10, 15 and 12, and then maybe I think I have to figure out if the ones that I don't see are better. And so the interesting elements there. Pretty surprising. The variety of gameplay that can emerge from such a simple idea is quite good. There is randomness, of course, but it will hit both players sooner or later. So I think there is enough randomness actually that things even themselves out quite nicely. It is a messy game. There is randomness, but there's also surprising amount of thinking, strategy, bluffing, and trying to read through your opponent's strategy. It's simple, it's very affordable because it's such a small game. The rules are hard to learn from here, but I hope I was able to give you a better sense. There are the videos available also online if you still have questions. But in general, Electoral College Combat is a nice little game. Very simple, messy, there is humor in it, there is political satire, I would say sort of like bipartisan satire. It kind of like hits both sides, so it remains kind of like neutral or a high level. It's fun. It's a very simple game, very small, but enjoyable.